What up? You damn right I'm early. You're damn right. I got sick and tired of you all saying I'm late. So I decided to shock you all and come exactly 1 minute early. Well, probably about 45 seconds, but I'm still early. I ain't late. See, now you got the missus saying I'm late. She's so used to you guys saying I'm late. Now she's calling me late. I ain't late. It stops everyone from saying it. It's too late now. You can run, but you can't hide. Literally. I heard. Didn't he just have a concert in like Birmingham or something? I could have sworn he had like a concert just recently. It's a shame. And Bags is still reeling from the fact that I'm actually early. He can't believe it. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. He done like another tour. They were good on PC, but not for Xbox and PlayStation. For those that don't know, apparently, well, at least for me, Xbox Rewards is bugged as well. At least it was really buggy yesterday. It didn't actually give me any of my points. You got his music playing in the background? Mate, I'd love to do that, but I'll get DMCA'd instantly. Hell, I got DMCA'd by Warner Bros. Oh, who was it? Mortal Kombat. I got DMCA'd on. Basically everything I showed last stream, even that video game with Ben Starr in it, I got DMCA'd on. It was crazy. Everything I showed last week, I got a claim on. It was bonkers. So no more. I guess I can't show anything that's movie related. Put me in a call and I'll turn it off. Nah, it's all right. Like literally, I got at first I got a strike. Well, it's not like a channel strike, but you know, they claimed the video because of the Ben Starr game, and I was like, okay, we sorted that out. Then apparently there was a music track that was playing for 5 seconds or 7 seconds at the end of that Ben Starr one, so I edited that out, so that was fine. Then I got claimed by Mortal Kombat for the music, so I cut that bit out. And then the Warner Brothers came back and said, nah, you're just showing the Mortal Kombat trailer. So we're just going to absolutely just nuke your video. And I was like, okay, thanks. I love you too. So, yeah. At least I tried. I tried. It's a thing. Have I pre-installed Wu-Chang? No, but it doesn't matter because I'm on a gigabit connection. I'm no longer on pleb internet. Although, for some reason, I couldn't stream multi-stream today for some weird reason. As much as I wanted to multi-stream over to Kick and Twitch, it did not allow me. It kept on reconnecting and disconnecting, so I need to figure out why. But I'm no longer on pleb internet, so it'll take like, you know, just like it took me, what, 2 minutes, maybe less, to download Outlast Trials and install it. I suspect it'll be the same. Mortal Kombat Studio don't like ponies, so it's fair. Nah, so then why is it attacking me? Why is it attacking me?
Music 72 celebrates 2 months of membership.
Hey, Music 72, thank you for the membership. I appreciate it. Yes, I don't have pleb internet anymore, so I can download it whenever I want. Although, after the way I've been calling out Ninja Theory today, I don't think Xbox ever wants to see me again. Man, there are so many people out there that are such diehard defenders of the cloth. It's so weird. Biggest pony on social media, I wonder? Nah. I can tell you that the PS Portal sucks, and I don't care what anyone says. My review's coming on that very soon, but it's shit so far. I am not liking it at all. My Steam Deck is way more stable. It's getting pitiful. Hey, shit, mate. Literally, I'm standing this distance. I've got my portal right, and I'm testing it out. I'm on a boss battle on Death Stranding 2, but I'm testing it out while the missus is watching TV. And the whole thing starts pixelating while I'm playing. I'm not even joking. I'm like 2 feet away from the goddamn console. And that thing starts pixelating. I'm like, you piece of shit. I ended up wiping as well because I couldn't see what was going on. Wait, what happened, Devin? You get timed out again. Mate, you can't. I couldn't see anything. How can it be better my 3090 Ti? Sounds like pleb internet. Nah, my pleb internet is gone, man. My days of 50 meg living in the asylum are done with. I got gigabit now. Yeah, you know, this is the difference between being a citizen and a non-citizen. That's how it works. When you're living with 50 meg internet, it's like, you know, it's like you're a migrant in some kind, man. You feel like everywhere you go, you're stepping on eggshells. You don't want anyone to notice because they're gonna look at you in a weird way. But then you get onto gigabit internet, and it's like, nah, you've just achieved full citizenship. You're good. You don't give 2 shits. Mate, the Steam Deck was right next to me and it had no problem. I run it through the Steam Deck and it's not a problem. The connection between the Portal and the PS5 was just, it kept on dropping. 50 meg. I know, right? There's no way I'm going back to those days. Those were some dark times, man. Those were some dark times. But how we all doing, man? How we all doing? It's Tuesday. It's kind of chill out there. It's not too hot, and it's kind of okay to be cold a little bit. But I'm liking it. Indeed, Byron, indeed. The best handheld is your phone? Not my phone. Not my phone, buddy. In regards to what? We're going to touch on that later today. That conversation is really weird, Susanna. There's too much going on there that doesn't make sense. Well, it does make sense, but people are not seeing why it makes sense. So apparently, according to rumors, a one special Nick, Fable might be pushed back to 2027. And so because he's saying it might be pushed back to 2027, the game is cooked. The playground of the next studio to close down. The game is cancelled. The game is done. Goodbye, developers. And the list goes on. Because it might be getting pushed back. Man, we haven't even got to 2026 yet, and they're talking about it might be pushed back to 27. We're only halfway through 25. Nah. I think people are reading too much into it. People are reading too much into it. I mean, releasing it for next gen actually makes sense, but hey, man, I'm not buying any of this stuff. As in, I don't think it's delayed. What do you mean it's not good with its own anniversaries? Which anniversary was bad? You want to know where State of Decay 3 is? I think so would they. I think State of Decay would like to know where it is too. But hey, apparently it's doing okay. And it's on schedule. So if it's anything to go by, it's on the chopping block. I mean, to be fair, I think they should have released Infinite when that happened, but people cried too much about Craig, so they pulled it back. They only pulled it back because people wanted them to. Today is Tuesday, though it feels like a Wednesday. Could be a Thursday, but it is a Tuesday. I'd release all 4 games with its release. That would be an amazing next-gen start. It would. It would. You know, Blade is on schedule as well. Hey man, sorry to hear about your man flu. I hope you feel better, dude. Nah, Fable gonna be great. Trust me. You heard it here first. It gonna be the first 5A game. We don't do quadruple A anymore. We're going 5A game with this one. It's gonna be beast. Yeah, I'm not showing Hellraiser. I've seen the trailer. I've seen that stuff that goes on there. That's demonetization 101. You think I'm stupid? I mean, literally, the first 30 seconds will get you demonetized. I literally told you why. The first 30 seconds will get you demonetized. They're literally doing it in the first 30 seconds. You think I'm stupid? Oh, titties and everything are all out everywhere. Guy thinks I didn't watch it. Yeah, the Hellraiser trailer. And look, I don't steal consoles just because I get them cheap. Doesn't mean I'm stealing them. I just have good connections. Yeah, sure. You ain't watched the same trailer I did then. But it looks good though. Although it was a little too gory for me, to be fair, but you know, it looked pretty good. Maybe I can get away with showing it from here, from the 30-second mark. Maybe. I mean, they didn't really show any gameplay, did they? Right? So I think it should be safe from here. If I get demonetized, I'm blaming Steve for this.
Thirsts for excruciating pleasure.
Demonetized in the first 10 minutes of streaming.
Offer.
Yeah, this just, I don't know.
Is hellbound. Follow her, for we have such sights to show you.
I don't know, the game just looked a bit too thing to me. I know this is going to appeal to a lot of people, but it didn't really appeal to me. That just looks disgusting. And there you have it. Quickest demonetization ever in a stream. Yeah, mine too. Mine too, Susanna. Wait, what was my great take? I need to know. I make a lot of great takes and like back-to-back whips. Like, what was it? I'm just full of surprises today. But yeah, what do you guys think about Fable being delayed? I think it's a whole pile of baloney. But that's just me. Hey, Sin. Don't care if it is or isn't. It'll come when it's ready. But what if it doesn't? What if what people are saying is true and it never sees the light of day? Then what? Nah, if Gears gets delayed, I think you should show that same energy. You know, if it gets delayed, it'll come when it comes, right? That's what it's all about. It will release for GTA 6 does. By the way, I need to ask you guys something. This is a genuine question. Some of you may know the answer to this, some of you may not. In fact, what I'm going to do is turn it into a poll because that makes a lot more sense and it's a bit more interactive and a little bit more fun. So why not, right? Why don't we do that? We should absolutely do that because, I don't know, I think I'm just high on something today. But it's working, right? It makes for a good stream. So we're going to start a poll. Is PoE2 a big game on PC? All right. There you go. Get to it, boys. Wait, really? No one thinks it's a big game? Man, you guys suck. You guys are just saying no for the sake of it, aren't you? Oh. Hey, what's up, Oreo? Hey, what up, Oreo? Let's see. At one, its peak was 578,000 players playing concurrently. So when it launched, it almost had 600,000 people playing. It launched on December the 6th. Hello. Alright, let me just open a door for him because apparently he's going to knock my TV over. Which ironically works in my favor so I can get a new TV. But I kind of need it at the moment. Okay. Look, you don't have to knock everything over. Come this way. Okay. There you go. Go get your food. It awaits you. You know what? I did manage to actually get all my consoles working through the extra glasses earlier today, so that was a big win. Even the Nintendo Switch 2. Although it was in docked form and not in undocked, it still worked and it was quite nice. Yeah, it hasn't peaked its time yet. It's usually around, it peaks around now, really. So it's going to probably get a few more players and then it'll peak up. But at launch, it had 600,000 players, which is a good amount, right? Would you say 600,000 concurrent players is good? All right, so launch numbers are great. So, would you say that when this game launched, another game launching beside it, hoping to steal its thunder, is a smart thing to do or a dumb thing to do? I'm talking launching like 2 days after this one launched. Exactly. And so Indiana Jones and the Great Circle decided that it was going to go toe to toe with Path of Exiles. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge indie fan. I love it. I live for it. But my kids couldn't give two shits about Indiana Jones or the Great Circle. In fact, when I said the Great Circle, they took it the wrong way. And so they jumped into Path of Exiles. Because that was the new and great thing. And so it was obvious that that cannibalized some sales. And so there was a discussion earlier today talking about how Path of Exiles did, damage the sales impact that Indiana Jones had on PC. And they were saying that never happens. No game can impact the sales of another game. So then I kind of, reminded these ponies of what happened when Elden Ring launched alongside Forbidden West. Does anyone remember what happened then? Splitgate's gone back into beta release? That's random. I mean, when Forbidden West decided that it was going to go toe-to-toe with Elden Ring, I think they learned a lesson for the second time running. Because didn't they go toe-to-toe with Zero Dawn with another game? And they failed in relevance again? I like it, Devastator. I like it. That's the spirit. But apparently, games coming out at the same time cannot influence or cannot impact other games' releases. But when you got big games like this coming along, to say that it doesn't is dumb. I mean, when it comes to the PC market, most of them would have been on Path of Exiles and not Indiana Jones. Nobody is dumb enough to launch around GTA or COD. Well, if you ask certain fan base, or as Steve would say, it doesn't matter if you launch around big games. It clearly does. It never stood a chance against Elden Ring. Yeah, but apparently they say that Elden Ring didn't impact it at all. And that it sold phenomenally well. Yeah, right. You know, I get there's delusional. I get there's delusions of grandeur, but Jesus. Yeah, they came out 2 days apart. And for Indiana Jones and Path of Exiles. It just launched at the wrong time. The hype for Path of Exiles at the time was mental. Everyone was playing it. To the Splitgate community, we believe. Let's see. Let's see. We believe in Splitgate 2. The game means everything to us. It's been our life for almost 10 years. You probably want to see this as well. It's been in our life for almost 10 years, starting in our dorm room, and we're more committed than ever to delivering the incredible experience you deserve. We've heard your feedback, and we agree with you. We launched too early. We had ambitious goals with Splitgate 2, and in our excitement to share it with you, we bit off more than we could chew. We rushed certain features, made some boneheaded mistakes, and most importantly, we didn't give you the polished, portal-filled mayhem you fell in love with. Do you know what? I kind of respect that. This is what Concord should have done. They should have just took the game back to the drawing board and made changes that needed to be made, and then come back. So we're going back to beta. We'll be heads down until next year, rebuilding major parts of the game to capture the spirit of what made Splitgate special. That means reworking progression from ground up, adding more portals to our maps, simplifying monetization, refocusing on classic game modes you've been asking for, and more, which we'll share soon, probably in a while. This is a essay. Who wrote this? Nibs. Jesus. Now more than ever, we need your help. We're returning not just to our roots in what we build, but in how we build it with you. No, you don't come to me and ask me. You just make me fill a survey and that's it. If I'm playing this game, I ain't doing a job for you. You heard our bitching and crying, so deal with it. You ain't paying me. That means more playtests, more surveys, more listening. Mate, if you haven't listened by now, you're not going to listen at all. And truly being community first. I mean, what happened to the rest of the feedback? Our goal is to combine the DNA. Mate, you ain't getting no scientific with me now. Of the first game with the best improvements from the second. Rebuilding the core isn't just a quick fix. Of course it is. It's just a copy and paste. CTRL-A, CTRL-V. Done. Job executed. To give ourselves time to rebuild Splitgate, you deserve. We've made the incredibly difficult decision to reduce certain roles and shift our resources to focus on this rework. Basically, they're having layoffs. This is heartbreaking. These are our teammates and our friends. I told you. They helped build what we have today. They're receiving severance and job placement support. Oh shit. I was joking. They're really going down that aisle. And we're committed to doing everything we can to help them through this transition. There ain't no transition. You fucked them over. We hope to bring them back when we can. Wait, we hope to bring them back? So, like, you're part-time sacking them and bringing them back when... In an effort to retain as many team members as possible, we're also going to be shutting down OG Splitgate servers in a month. Oh, shit. Mate, this is they're taking a sledgehammer to us. Mate, they don't give a crap. While we'd love to keep servers online indefinitely, which probably doesn't cost them anything, it's cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past couple of years. Yeah, probably not. And we have to prioritize our team. Like us, we know this game means a lot to so many of you. So we are exploring the possibility of supporting offline or peer-to-peer matches. Okay, that's good. At least peer-to-peer. Do that so I can, jerry-rig my connection and no one can ever shoot me. Legit. I'll be the best player on that leaderboard. And when we return, we plan to have a dedicated experience in Splitgate 2 that delivers on the promise of the original. In the meantime, Splitgate 2 will remain playable and will still be shipping Chapter 3. So, they asked a bunch of people. They've gone back into beta. They asked a bunch of people. They're using that as an excuse to axe the whole of the first game. And they're still going to deliver on the game that isn't actually doing well. But the one that is actually doing well, they're axing. As well as fixes and high priority changes. We hope you'll continue to play and support the game. As always, please keep the feedback coming. We face a lot of dark days. The dark side of the moon shall never be forgotten. And have made many mistakes. Too many to count. But we've learned a lot. We haven't really. And are determined as ever to make Splitgate as great as possible. We basically want your money. Splitgate has been our life for 10 years. About 2 years of that is development. And we wouldn't have it any other way. We've got work to do. But we aren't giving up. Yet. So there's always a chance. We love this game, and we love this community too much to ever quit. So we won't. For now. See you in the arena, if you can find your way. Ian and Nicholas. So much for that speech of some against. I hope you all enjoyed my narration. It's free to play. It's almost as if I read this 50 times already. That's way too many times, son. Do you know what? That is an overwhelming result in my favor. I told you it was a big difference. You missed it? Read it again? No. No. There are times where the customer just isn't right. Always flake. Always. I thought they were joking. I thought it was obvious it was leading up to layoffs, and I was like, nah, they're not gonna do this, right? They're not gonna go down that route. And then they went, yeah, we're laying off everyone, man. They're all going. We're drop kicking them out the front door. Bandit, I'm within that 10%. I'm always right. And even when I'm wrong, I'm still right. Because that's how this works. Right? That's how this works. Where is that story I wanted to cover next? There we go. So this one's kind of huge, right? This one's kind of huge. Hey, secondary protocol. Just on time. This one's massive. They went mental about this one. There were so many articles I saw about this one. They added a history button so you can see what you've been playing between your console and PC. Yep. Yep. That was the big deal. They added a history tab. I was like, you what, mate? I mean, all these articles that they wrote for a goddamn history tab? I mean, it's literally just looking at... All they did was enable the API. And the API said, okay, I'm going to return results on what you're doing on this machine. It's not like it's even difficult. Come on, Microsoft. Do better. But, you know, followed by this, we saw actually some really good news, right? From the, you know, secondary protocol himself. And as you can see, they're now adding Xbox 360 games into the fray. I don't know why he circled the Gears games. They're trash. I mean, Fusion Frenzy is where it's actually at. Oh, I see. He left Reloaded out. That's all right. He left Reloaded and Ultimate out. Okay, you know, Bruno, you gained some, you gained some street cred. The fact that you turned around and left out those two just shows how much you disrespected Gears. Live on air, I'm okay with that. Pictish, we're going to cover that in a bit. I think that's my next story that I'm going to cover. But these are now cloud enabled for you to play. So it's kind of cool. You can now play your 360 games. Some people don't have the consoles anymore. They got rid of them, Susano. So this is actually like really, really good. It gives you the opportunity to go back and play them, right? I don't know everything's going to be there, but hey, for all those that were crying about Perfect Dark, you can play 2 Perfect Darks. You can play Perfect Dark, the original, and Zero. So now you can relive your dreams as playing as Joanna. See, you don't need the reboot. This one is just fine. But you know what? My dude was playing Paw Patrol. Yeah, he knows who he is. Man's playing Paw Patrol right now. Look, hey, man is playing Genshin Impact too. Let's go! That's what I'm talking about. Man, whoever's playing on this account, this weirdo, he has some goat fetish. That is a severe goat fetish. Lost isn't there though? Wait, what's... Just emulate and pirate, bro? And maybe some people don't want to do that, man. Hater? What do you mean, hater? Alright, I did have one more topic I wanted to go through before we get into the main one, but let's jump into the main topic today. And the main topic, of course, is Thomas Mueller. He, he found his fame with Ori. Xbox made him who he is. And, he's decided that he is going to, for him, it makes more sense to release the games on the biggest audience platform as opposed to the smallest. So he's releasing it on the Switch too. Because yes, that makes sense. So, I said no rest for the wicked to possibly skip Xbox and not releasing day and date alongside PS5 and Switch 2. In my opinion, this is the type of game that would thrive on Xbox. It just appeals to them. Right? I think this is like a proper Xbox bro game. Like, it's the type of game that, in my opinion, appeals more to Xbox gamers than it would do to Nintendo and, not Square Enix, PlayStation fans. I don't think you can yet. Bull. Bags it is. But if you were to tell me between PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch 2, which console platform user base would probably, be more interested in this, it's going to be Xbox. It's the type of game that appeals more to that audience, in my opinion. But then I turned full tard, right? And I said something which I took back almost immediately. I said, for those saying console sales don't matter, here is Ori developer Moon Studio saying yes it does. Because he turned around and said this. But before we do that, let's just read what he says. Right, he said, by the way, given the current market conditions, we might only release on PS5 and potentially Switch 2 for the time being, because Switch 2 has a much bigger user base than the Xbox platform. We'll have to discuss things with Microsoft to see what makes sense. And then he followed that with, folks, can we drop the conspiracy theory insanity? Because everyone said, including myself, that he's going for the Game Pass money. And that's what he wants in order to release it on Xbox. If NeoGAF becomes more and more like the Purple Forum, don't be surprised if people stop posting here as well. So basically, if you disagree with this dude, he will stop coming here. Only if you agree with him and worship him will he actually continue to post on this, on NeoGAF. So no, it's not a shakedown, it's called common effing sense. At least that's according to him. Because PlayStation does have the biggest market share when it comes to console platforms. That is no surprise. Or secret. But apparently a console with 4 million units sold is going to compete with a 35 million units sold for the time being. Again, common sense. What our community has been wanting the most is co-op and console support. So we want to fulfill those wishes as soon as humanly possible. We're already hard at work on co-op, so people can play Wicked in multiplayer pretty soon. And after the idea is that we'll to release 1.0 sooner than initially expected, so that we don't have to deal with the hassle of being on an early access game on consoles. Wicked is already in a pretty great state, so by the time we exit early access, we'll be golden. In order to get there fast though, we'll first have to support the platform that has the most users purely out of resource reasons, and that is going to be the Nintendo Switch 2. We're a comparatively small indie studio. It's weird that they keep saying that. It irritates me. So doing a console port at the quality level we want is not a small task. Porting to Xbox means porting to the Xbox Series X and S, and that will take more time to optimize compared to porting to the PS5 and PS5 Pro. Why? I don't know. So we're most likely going to do a PS5 Pro first and launch there in order to make fans happy and supply other ports later, because screw you if you're on anything else. We only care about PlayStation. That's literally all there is to it. We love PlayStation and that's it. And no, Sony didn't money hat this. This is just a developer glazing Sony. And yes, we'll need to discuss with Xbox and Nintendo what the best strategies are to support their platform and their features in the best way possible. That'll be an ongoing discussion. Now, bear in mind, he's only mentioning Nintendo here because he wants to soften the blow. Otherwise, Nintendo would have been much higher in this article. So there's nothing to see here. It's just common sense with us having to make the right moves given the resources we have, while making sure we give players what they want as far as possible. Well, clearly the players want a video game and you're not doing that. But I turned full-tarded in my old age, and I said, for those saying console sales don't matter, here is Ori developer Moon basically saying that it does. But then I had an epiphany. I did. Chat. I did have an epiphany. Because I said I'd take back what I said in the previous tweet. So my whole tardedness only lasted for the best part of maybe 3-4 minutes before I came back to my senses. Based on these two interactions, it's clear. Market size is not the issue, even though they said due to market conditions. Market size isn't an issue because Switch 2 has a smaller base. The Series S is not an issue because the Switch 2 is a weaker platform with lesser specs than the Series S. So that can't be the issue either. So that leaves one thing and one thing only. My guy wants that Game Pass still. That's it. He wants the Game Pass still. Now, there's two ways of looking at this. One, he doesn't believe the game will sell on Xbox, even though realistically it's the best, platform out of the three to make a go at this. And two, it's purely a Game Pass deal for him. He wants the Game Pass bag, and Microsoft isn't coming forward with the Game Pass bag, and so they're turning around and saying, well, if you don't come with that Game Pass bag, we're not going to release it day and date. But why release it on the Switch 2? But they're already optimizing for the Switch 2. That's a weaker platform than the Series S. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that logically makes sense here is that they're doing it for Game Pass. They want that money from Game Pass. What do you think, chat? My bad. I didn't realize it was going to release. I mean, that's what they're looking at, right? They're looking at PlayStation 5 and the Switch 2. And so Xbox just gets shafted. Now, I get it. This company has had a horrible relationship with Microsoft. It's not been good because fundamentally they've just done things that are bad. But come on. This is just weird, and it's just uncalled for. Right? Xbox player didn't buy a lot of those. We all know this. Look. Yeah, but Banisher, 500,000 on Xbox isn't bad, right? It's not bad. If 500,000 bought it on Xbox, that means the remaining 1.2 million is on PC and PlayStation 5. And now if we extrapolate the actual player base for the two, you gain so much, you know, proportionally, Xbox is doing okay. You know, I need to put the fan on because it's quite warm in here. Let me just sort that out. It's really warm suddenly. I'm really humid. Let's fix this here. Let's put this aircon here. What? Don't you dare do this to me. Alright, let's see what the water level is like in here. It's good. Ah, that's better. Nice and cold air. It's an isometric game. Yeah, it is. But I think that this game would do way better on Xbox than it would on Switch and PlayStation. It's just, I think this game, the style of this game is more suited to Xbox players. I'm not including PC in this, just Xbox players. Xbox, just console players. I don't know, it just feels weird. But when you take the proportion into consideration of the market size, if you're saying 500,000, they actually did really well. That means that they are buying games. Taz, is that a rumor or is that legit? Or is that just people taking a piss? Taz coming in with a breaking news. Totally fake though. Like, you can't come in and say it's coming. You can't come in and say stuff like that with no source. I mean, it is rumored for this year, but, you know. So, yeah. To me, it looks like it's quite obvious what's happening here. I think it's obvious to everyone what's happening here. They want the Game Pass money. It's okay though. Luto from Broken Bird Games took this opportunity to turn around to the Xbox community and say, "Hey, your game's being delayed. I know we're being funded by Idea Xbox, and without them, this game probably wouldn't have seen the light of day. But we're going to release it on other platforms first. We had technical issues with your game, and so." You know, it seems to happen consistently with Xbox, but this is the way it has to go, and so we're gonna launch your one a little later than everyone else. Do you know what? I'm gonna be totally real with you. I have no idea what this game even is. Look at them, man. They can't even have a voice of their own. They have to call the entourage. Get that shit in earlier. Or delay the launch of the other one so they go live day and date. Simultaneously. After all, a certification only takes what? 5 to 7 days? But yeah, I ain't got a clue who this company's Broken Bird Games is, but apparently the game Luto's gone. Well, not gone, but delayed. Hey, Bold Alpha Wolf, how's it going? I don't know if it's a good game or a bad game. I'm just pointing it out that they decided that they're going to use this opportunity to come out and say blah, 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 blah. I mean, Xbox is delaying their games until God knows when, just for PlayStation, right? Can't be that dumb. And it's a couple of days. What's wrong with delaying your game for a couple of days? To give it the best chance it can have to succeed on all platforms. Probably Bold Alpha. Yo, chat, I'm just being summoned real quick. I'll be right back. I'm going to leave chair in my place just to keep you entertained. I'm back. Microsoft certification usually takes around 3 days. That's the fast track. The normal certification is anywhere between 5 to 7 days. It's not like PC. It's totally different to the way PC gets certified. PC doesn't need certification. Usually people just play around with it for a few hours. It looks okay. Off it goes because PC is an unregulated market. In order for it to pass certification on console, they kind of need to beat it. Complete the game from start to finish. And you have different aspects of the team doing different things, from checking legal requirements to logos to everything else, making sure everything is appearing as it should in the right place, frame for frame. Yeah, they test a lot on console. I mean, when I was working at Sega, when we were sending stuff for certification with Sony and other stuff, you know, every time it took a week to come back. And if it failed, then we'd fix it and then send it back again. But they'd tell you where it failed. PC doesn't need certification at all. So, Ninja Theory released this video explaining performance mode. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but let's listen to it because it's interesting.
Performance mode is a highly requested feature from our community, and that's a setting that the players can choose within the options to run the game on a 60 frame per second mode. You can swap between the performance and quality mode seamlessly. When you are playing on the PlayStation 5 Pro, you can choose between your preferred upscaler PSSR and TSR. Our approach to performance mode was to keep the original cinematic experience intact.
And I'll gut you like a fish.
So from the outset, we were pretty set on not removing any features at all for the performance mode version of the game, and rather we made a series of targeted optimizations as well as performance mode specific settings. For the original release of Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, we optimized to the 30Hz target and then actually optimized a bit further than that to give ourselves a bit of headroom for a smoother frame rate, as well as letting us scale more for PC hardware. And so that meant that we had a bit of spare CPU headroom, basically, where if we were to scale the graphics settings, you get some additional frame rate kind of by default, but it wasn't quite.
My guy's lying. They said, and I fucking quote, it was a creative decision. It was an artistic decision. In fact, making it 60 FPS would hurt the game. The guy's bullshitting. They're all lying out of their butthole. They looked at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and decided, you know what? Our circle is even better with the amount of shit that's coming out of it. They sat there and bold-faced lied to every single Xbox customer. Right? They chatted shit. They lied out of their bloody teeth. They're a bunch of frauds. They even turned around and said, we don't want 60 FPS because it would ruin the game. And now they're going to sit there and circle jerk to 60 FPS.
Quite enough to get us all the way to 60 frames per second.
They're circle jerking it now because it's coming on PlayStation. This game wouldn't get that 60 update patch if it wasn't coming to PlayStation. they wouldn't have even bothered doing it.
So because we had that headroom for the quality mode version of the game, that meant that we did actually have a couple of 2 to 4 millisecond spikes that would never affect the frame rate. However, in performance mode, these became a large part of our frame, and so we spent quite a lot of effort in targeting and removing all of those. This often involved spreading work across lots of frames, and particularly around spawning characters and items, level streaming and garbage collection. For our general CPU performances, you might imagine for a game like this, a lot of it was spent on our characters, their animation and their physics. We got back most of our performance by making targeted improvements to animation, as well as making our anim blueprints performance mode aware so that we could branch certain functionality and make appropriate reductions where necessary.
If you would just listen to me, Senua.
We also implemented an animation frame budget allocator, which meant that we could set fixed budgets, which is very important for 60Hz games, to ensure a consistent frame time. And then anything beyond that budget would just push to later frames. We also set this up with a priority system on characters so that this would not affect primary characters within a scene. Also, as
But they said 60 FPS would hurt the game. I don't get it. Why are they releasing a 60 FPS patch if 60 FPS would hurt the game? I'm just using their words. They said they didn't want it. It would remove from the cinematic experience that they were trying to sell to all Xbox fans.
our animation blueprints were performance mode aware, we were able to scale the physics on the characters for performance mode only. Reaching our goals on GPU was a combination of lower resolution, scalability settings, and performance mode specific settings for lighting and shadows to reduce their cost.
They're just using
We
words
also made improvements to
confuse people,
post-processing and VFX.
to make it look like
In
they're
addition
saying
to
stuff.
this, we made our Niagara systems performance mode aware, which meant that we could branch their functionality as well. There's a lot more to it and a lot of finer details to keeping the performance smooth and consistent at 60 frames per second.
I'll say this though, Hellblade 2 still looks like the best. It's still the best looking game out there. Don't get me wrong, Death Stranding 2 look good, but it doesn't hold a candle on Hellblade 2.
Second, but that's the broad overview of what it took to get the game running at 60 on Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro.
So I basically said, right, that they need to apologize to Xbox fans for blatantly lying to them. And that the reality is 60 FPS only exists because it's appearing on PlayStation. And, while I am happy that PlayStation fans are getting to experience Hellblade 2, they did the Xbox community dirty. And this is a first-party studio, by the way. A first-party studio outright bald-faced lying to their community and saying that this was all an artistic thing. Now, look, it may have not been possible at launch, right? Unreal Engine, let's be real. Unreal Engine 5 at launch, I'm going to be fair here, right? I'm going to be fair. Unreal Engine 5 at launch was new. And I think they were pretty much at like Unreal Engine 5.0 when they were making this. 5.4 has streamlined a lot of Unreal Engine 5 and made it way more accessible, right? But you didn't have to lie to your community. You could have just said, currently with the way our Unreal Engine works, we can't get it to run at 60 FPS. It's something we're looking at and we'll address with a later patch. And they could have done that, right? And then 2-3 months before the PlayStation release, or a few months before the PlayStation release, released that 60 FPS patch and said, right, here Xbox customers, off you go. Have some fun. Enjoy the game, replay it in 60 FPS. But instead, they chose to bold-faced lie to their community about X, Y, and Z, and then completely retract all of those statements and release that patch at the same time as Xbox. Nah, this doesn't fly with me. But it's weird because you got like this guy over here, Watchman's Collective, he's like outright defending them, saying that they didn't lie. This one over here is saying it's a complete masterpiece. I mean, it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. But they don't need to apologize because they outright lied to you? The hell? People still think parity is performance. It's not. The parity between the console is on features, not performance. I don't know where that narrative came from. But I think they owe the Xbox community an apology for just bold-faced lying to them. Bold Alpha Wolf, they said they don't want to do 60 FPS because it would remove from the cinematic feel of the game. It would change and deviate from the artistic vision that they had. So does that artistic vision of 30 FPS only apply to Xbox community? So the moment it goes to PlayStation, fuck that artistic vision. We felt that, you know, we fed that bullshit to the Xbox fans. They lapped that shit up real quick. Now that we've got, you know, the PlayStation fans coming to the fray, they expect a better experience, so we have to do 60 FPS to them. That's not how you do. That's not how you roll. That's not how you do things, man. That's not how you do things. I would have had much more respect for them if they came out and said, we just can't do it at 60 FPS right now because we don't have, you know, the tools don't allow for it. I would have had much more respect for them. But they fed people with a bunch of lies. You know, they fed people with a bunch of lies. Like I said, Unreal Engine 5 was new at the time. So I can understand, you know, the fact that the game, you know, technologically and graphically, it was phenomenal, right? There's, even to this date right now, I know people are trying to, you know, PlayStation fans are trying to say Death Stranding 2 looks better. It absolutely doesn't, right? I mean, it's literally a copy and paste wasteland, right? There is nothing going on in that game, graphically. It just looks really smart because it's super clean. But Hellblade 2 just looks phenomenally brilliant when it comes to the graphics. It is in a league of its own. And so if they just came out and said, this game is 30 FPS, we literally, with Unreal Engine 5, it's new, we just can't do it. But you're going to turn around and say that we don't want 60 FPS because it would remove from that artistic vision? So you basically are lying to your community. That's where I have a problem with it. Not that it is 30 FPS, the fact that they lied about why it's 30 FPS. That's what I have a problem with. As an Xbox customer and a first-party studio, we should have got it earlier. This is a Xbox first-party studio. They should cater for Xbox fans first, everyone else second. I just don't get why people are defending this. I mean, I'm happy it's there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I called out the bullshit from way early on because if it was an artistic decision, they would have locked the PC version to 30 FPS as well, right? But they didn't do that. The PC version ran at whatever frame rate your graphics card could run at. It wasn't locked to anything. There was no artistic vision. So I called out the BS months ago. But for them to come out and release this performance mode video, like they think everyone is just stupid, I think it's just a slap in the face. Like, everyone just moved on from this, and then they decided, hey, we're going to make a video and undermine your intelligence by using really big words so you don't understand what's going on. and we'll try to prove to you that we were right when no. Hey, Digital. OTP? What is OTP? Over the phone? I mean, out the gate, PlayStation got it at 60 FPS, right? Spelling error. I'm like, what's it talking about? Over the phone? One-time password? Oh. Them fat fingers again, eh, Steve? Oh. Man, I just wish more people would hold them accountable. I still feel like they, at the very least, owe the Xbox community an apology. I mean, I remember them saying at the time that they actually tried to get the game running at 24 frames per second so they can get, like, that movie feeling. Didn't really work. He means one true pony? Ah, I see. I see, Brick. But that's what he meant. I'm never gonna get away from these pony allegations, am I? Ain't it a bit... You're drunk on a Tuesday? I don't know. This one just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, they think everyone is as stupid as they are. Like, it just rubbed me the wrong way, man. Steve, run faster than Sonic. He doesn't need the truck. Oh. Where is it? And for those wanting to know what the actual quote was, here it is. Speaking to GamePro, the game's environmental art director Dan Atwell and VFX director Matt Slater-Tunstall explained that they believe 30 FPS is the best way to play the game, as alongside the letterboxd aspect ratio, it creates a cinematic feel. We don't want to offer a frame rate mode. which insinuates that they could have given Xbox fans a 60 FPS mode, but they chose not to because they didn't want to, or anything like that. Because having 30 FPS was a conscious decision. It was something that they decided that Xbox fans will only appreciate 30 FPS and not 60. From an aesthetic point of view, going to 60 FPS gives us nothing, but now magically it does. In fact, it probably would have only hurt us in that what we want to achieve is how we want to keep the film aesthetic and the film look. But all of this only applies to Xbox version of the game. A year later, they don't care about the aesthetic feel or the movie feel or the cinematic feel or anything. I guess they had a change of leadership. I'll put it to that and move on. I guess they had a change of leadership. I'll leave it at that and move on. Mate, Tarnish, can you imagine if they tried to lock it at 30 FPS? Because it's an artistic decision. I mean, I get it, PC, you just mod it straight out anyway, but can you imagine if they actually tried to do that and then tried to pass that bullshit to the PC community? They would be crucified. But they actually openly said here, right? We don't want to offer it, which insinuates that they could have given us 60 FPS. But they said, no, we don't want to give it to you. Bunch of clowns, man. Assassin's Creed. My game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I'm having a lot of fun with, by the way, has 5 million assassins, 5 million players. I know people are going to say, well, how many sales is that? I don't care. It's got 5 million players. Obviously, that metric is very kind of broad because someone trying the game for 30 seconds and not liking it and then putting it down counts within this 5 million metric. But there has been 2 billion stealth kills. People have traveled 1 billion kilometers. And there's been 38 million animals petted. Mate, you guys need to start petting more animals. They do really cute stuff. I know they run away though, and they're really annoying when they do that. You should still do it. It's worth it. And still, you pause to take in the view. Thank you for forging legends with us. Naoe and Yasuke's journey continues. Updates coming this week. More updates. Let's go! You see that, Susanna? You're part of that 5 million, though. That's all that matters. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 is good. Yeah, you can pet the cats and dogs in this game. And every time... The cool thing is, every time you actually pet one of the animals in this game, Devin, you can basically... you basically get to keep them and bring them out in your little HQ. You can place them around and let them run around. So I'm really happy with this. I think this is really cool. And I'm happy the game is doing well. And, you know, Ubisoft are really, really happy with how this game has gone. And I'm chuffed. Despite all the criticism and hate this game got, I think it's a good game. It's a good Assassin's Creed game. But of course, you wouldn't be Ubisoft without being Ubisoft. And Ubisoft decided to go full Ubisoft by saying, hey guys, I know we just came off the back of some really cool news with the 5 million players, but did you know that if you spend more money on microtransactions, on boosters that we implemented and made your experience worse in the first place, you actually have a better time playing the game? Ah, perfect segue, both. We're talking about that now. But yeah, I did do a video on that. You should go check it out. But I'm gonna talk about it here anyway. But so Ubisoft has said what we're gonna do, right, is create a problem and then offer ways for you to pay money to fix that problem. And we think by doing that, you're having more fun. I mean, do you want to know how to fix a Ubisoft game? Skip the boosters. Sell as many skins as you want, as many mounts as you want. Reduce the bloat that they have in the game by about 80%. Boom. Make it a little bit more story-driven, linear, so it kind of forces you down a set path more than anything, so you don't just go around and doing what you want. Everything has like a chronological order, and you have got yourself a really good Assassin's Creed Shadows game. Now, I do say 80% because I genuinely mean that. There is more bloat in... Ubisoft games have got way too much bloat. It's nothing. Wait, did you buy all the boosters as well? No, don't buy the boosters, Banisher. You're the reason why they keep doing this. Way too many skill point missions. I know, it's just so bloated. But if you don't do them, then you can't level up your skills. It just, I don't know, this was like the dumbest thing they could come out and say, and they decided, you know, it's so weird. You fix it by... Mandalorian, why would we worry about Xbox this next generation? Bold Alpha, here's an idea. You wouldn't need the booster if they didn't pad the XP up. So how about they don't create the problem in the first place, so you don't need to buy the booster? I know, tell us, I know. The next console is coming. That's 100%. It's a, you know, rumor has it that it's going to land in 26. In fact, there's going to be two. One that lands in 26 and one that lands in 27. If, you know, the rumors are to be believed, which I'm quite skeptical about them releasing one in 26 and 27, but we'll see. Yeah, you see, Banisher, cosmetics I get. I've got nothing wrong with cosmetics. Right? These games cost a lot of money to make. They're really expensive. And for the most part, you know, sales of the game on its own just aren't enough to make a substantial profit. So having those cosmetics, which cost nothing to make, but they sell for a fortune, I've got no problem with that, because that's just a risk, you know, it's totally optional. And it doesn't add anything to your experience other than you looking cool. But here's the thing, you don't know that. The moment you introduce boosters into the game, it's because you create the problem that makes you need the boosters. When you get to New Game Plus or whatever, why not make it double XP? Why do you have to sell XP? Because the moment you sell or are in the market selling XP, it means that you've created an artificial problem. Because at some point, you're gonna push and engineer them in that direction to say, hey, you can slog it out and try and get to that next level, or you can buy one of these shiny boosters and we'll get you there in record time. Value your time, spend the money. Tell me you struggled with... I'm still playing through Assassin's Creed. I found the bloke way too boring. So it bored me half to death. So it's the same thing with most Ubisoft games that I play. I end up going back like 6 months to a year later. There's just way too much bloat in there. Activists were attacking the PC games? Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I'm just against boosters. Because the moment you introduce boosters into anything, you are creating an artificial problem that doesn't need to be monetized in order to sell. They can just double the XP. Or lower the XP requirement. Warframe is basically an alternative to Destiny. It's a free-to-play game, heavily monetized, but it's also fair in its monetization. And you don't really have to spend much, if anything, generally. See, Steve, what if they could actually do that without you having to spend money on boosters? What if that was just baked into the game, and instead of making it a chore so you can have fun by buying those boosters, again, them creating a problem and solving it by you spending money, how about they don't create a problem where you have to spend money to fix it? I'm still surprised people are defending boosters. But yeah, I think it's completely stupid, totally illogical, irrational. It don't make sense. It does not. I'm not defending gachas though. Bad. Bag. Who's defending gachas? Hey, Talos. But who's here defending gachas? I know I played him, and your first thing was to jump on that bandwagon because I play it, but you'll never hear me defending the predatory tactics. Just wanted to say I got your thought. But you won't see me defending what they're doing. Not in a million years. That targeting was pretty locked on. Banisher, that's the thing, right? In order to unlock something, psychologically they need to move that goalpost so it takes a while to unlock it. And so you can say, oh man, I could spend 10 hours doing this, or I could just pay money now and get it now. I kind of want it now, and so you spend the money and buy it now. And like I said, I've got no problem with microtransactions. I think they are needed in video games. So those that want to spend money to support and, you know, give video games that are with them, that's fine. But I do think going that one step further is just wrong. I mean, why do we even need it in single player? There's no reason to have them there. Of course they do secondary protocol, because people want to value their time, and at the end of the day, if it means that they can do more in less time by spending $5 on a booster, they're going to spend $5 on a booster, and that's exactly what they want. That slog is there for a reason. It's there to say, hey, you can continue doing this and wasting your life, but with the flex of the plastic, this is what you could be doing. And so you look at that and go, yeah, it's only a $5. Let's just do it. Okay, someone at least agrees with me. Even though it's not fully agreeing with me, at least they somewhat agree with me. I'll take it. I'll take it. They are fun, you said so? I know, right? I said they are fun, so you are going to listen to what I say. You are going to respect my authority. Hey, look. EA's at a whole new level. I'm not saying that EA isn't bad, by the way. I'm just saying I don't agree with boosters. I don't think they have a place in the gaming world. If you're introducing boosters for whatever reason, it means you're deliberately making it worse at some point in the game to make you want to use those boosters. That's all. You know, it's not like they're saying, okay, well, the leveling grind is perfect, so there's no reason for them to really want to buy the boosters. So we purposefully have to make it a little bit more of a chore in order to incentivize you to go and spend and buy those boosters. And that's the problem. That's the part I have a problem with. Huh? You can hear him, right? So my cat says hello, by the way. Like, literally. You might think I'm crazy, but I've been saying to my cat hello for so long Now he looks at me and says hello back. And I'm not even hearing things. He's literally doing it. I'm so proud of him. But he only does it when he's trying to get my attention. Then he just continues to look down on me like my overlord. I paid 500 plus on Gears Pop. And look, I got no problem. Like I said, I got no problem with microtransactions. I think they're necessary in today's day and age with the ballooning prices. It helps studios stay open. I just have a problem with boosters. Get rid of boosters and have as much cosmetic stuff as you want. I don't care. I think boosters are wrong. But yeah, Bold Alpha, I've got no delusions of any kind. Where it's worse. It's more like the battle pass thing in a competitive shooter. You get 15-20% more premium currency. If I'm about to put 8 hours into, as long as there's not. See, the problem with battle passes, most of them actually give you stuff that boost your progress, and so I guess in a competitive shooter, they can't really give you much outside of premium currency. But if you're looking at like other games in general, like platformers or gacha games or stuff like that, it's all pay to win. Well, pay to advance faster. Yeah, and so there's really bad battle passes, and then there's those that are really good. Like the Halo Master Chief one is done really well. It never expires, and you can buy more battle passes for different seasons if you want, and switch between them and activate each one at a time. But they are permanent battle passes. Like I said, I can't defend boosters. I can defend skins. I can defend the whole collector waifu. I can't defend boosters. I can't do it. I can't. No matter what you say, I can't do it. Marvel Rivals' battle passes are permanent. That's awesome. We know he will defend waifu. Hey, I defend waifu until the end. You don't mess with my waifu games. Mate, Steve, you're like the worst. Oh. Yeah, because no poor fucker would buy it. They realize no one's buying that shit. So it's like, fine, we'll just give it away at this point. So, the Lenovo Go 2 has leaked, and it's actually a pretty beefy big boy. Now, obviously, it's not going to sell very well, but, you know, if we look at the specs compared to the ROG Xbox LIX, it runs a Z2. Is there a football game going on right now? I'm guessing there might be because people are cheering, so maybe England scored. It's currently running a Z2 instead of the Z2 Extreme, which instantly makes the ROG LIX a little bit more enticing. And you can see here in terms of the integrated GPU, the ROG Ally is still just a little bit ahead of it. And it's just miles ahead, actually. It's amazing that Lenovo 2 has actually got 32 gigs of memory, which I thought was a letdown on the Xbox ROG Ally with the 24 gig. I think they should have went 32 as well. You got 2 terabytes versus 1. You get an OLED display, which is going to kill your battery, but people are acceptance of that. And I think that might be it in terms of differences. It's got VRR and OLED, but not much else is known, as opposed to the 7-inch on the Asus ROG. But the biggest win here for Asus is, of course, they're going to have exclusivity to the new UI. So even if Lenovo Legion Go releases the Z2 Extreme and is £200 cheaper than the ROG Xbox LIX, it's going to be an inferior platform because it doesn't have access to the new Xbox UI. Ah, England's Women Europe. Well, at least, you know, we win something. If the men can't do it, the women will rise to the occasion. I don't like to be Steam, then that's an instant turn off for me, like literally straight off the bat. But yeah, I suspect Lenovo will have its own Z2 Extreme as well. I can't imagine it not. I don't know if the Go's the winner here. It really depends on performance. So the Go's going to be on Steam OS, so it's going to have a really nice bit of performance there. But the Xbox LIX is going to be running on the new Microsoft UI with the watered down version of Windows, so it's really hard to tell without actually having them side by side. In theory, the LIX should win. It has less of a real estate to render. The less storage is a bit of a bummer, and the 24 gig is uncalled for. But it's, you know, it is what it is. Until we get true benchmarks, we just won't know. England just scored. Nice. I don't know. Time will tell. This is still expected. It's only leaked information, but then again, you know, we'll find out soon enough. It's the pricing of these that's going to be interesting, because we still don't really know what the pricing is in the US and the UK. Hey, Woodpit, I bought like a HDMI hub for the glasses. Now I can play Switch 2 games while it's docked. Undocked, it's still not possible, but via docked, it works great. It'll be good for your side scrollers. Yeah, for sure. For sure. If you're not looking, I mean, with how, you know, cloud gaming is developed as well, you kind of need it less and less these days if you're always around the internet. Have I been playing a Donkey Kong game? I get paid in 2 days. So I'm going to buy Donkey Kong in 2 days. And then try it myself. I've spent way too much money this month, and there's been a lot of stuff that I need to deal with. So, you know, 2 more days, and I can, you know, I could finally order Mario Odyssey 2. I'll order the physical of it. I'm not really sold on what it is. You know, Super Mario Odyssey 2 should be good. King Kong game is better than Donkey Kong? Mate, that game is so shit. I did, Rox. It looks interesting. It was an interesting way to start the trailer too. I think the Switch 2 is a decent console, although I think realistically it's really a Switch 1 Pro. It's not, you know, it's not the generational leap that you would expect. It's more like a Pro. But it's cool for what it is. I think some has benchmarked the Z2 Extreme. The Z2 is just a rebranded laptop chip. Oh, really? So how about Steam folding against Visa and blocking what gamers can buy with their own money? Do you know what? Let's talk about that, because I think that's a whole pile of bollocks. I think Visa doing that and Steam folding is a pile of shite. I mean, they're literally telling me what I can spend my money on. Come on, how stupid is that? But yeah, Bold Alpha, I mean, I've got a Switch 2. I'm playing mainly Switch 1 games on there. Like, I just recently bought Final Fantasy 9. I've got Mario RPG. And there's a bunch of Switch games that I still want to play, like Astral Chain. Xenoblade I'll probably never get around to because I'm not going to pay £40 for a second-hand game that's 5 years old. I'm just not prepared to do that. But it's a nice machine. It's just... It feels like a Switch Pro more than a next generation Switch. That's my only gripe with it. And the battery life absolutely horrendously sucks on that thing. Even in standby, it's just crap. Brand new out the box and it sucks. But it's crazy that, you know, these companies, especially Visa, have so much control. And I'm surprised, genuinely surprised, that Steam caved in. Although looking at some of those titles, I kind of get why. But still. The only ones that I saw getting banned are the ones that are essentially just full of incest. Now I get in Alabama that's a normal thing, but some places just that's where they'll draw the line. Woodpit have Arsenal. Yeah, I think it's just wrong. No, there's no understanding this. We should not be limited to what we want to buy. Give them an inch and they'll take them off. Now, I agree with that, Steve, like 100%. But I still think there kind of needs to be a line. But like I said, I do agree with you that we should be able to buy what we want. And those games should not have been removed. You know? I don't know. I think you know. I just don't. I don't. Look, I don't agree with censorship. That's number one, and I don't agree with the fact that a third-party entity is going to tell me how I can spend my money. I know there's a line in the sand somewhere, but they should never be able to dictate how I spend my money. All they should be doing is saying, "Hey, this is happening, and we're gonna stop it." And you don't really see that happening often nowadays. I mean, it probably was, brothers. See, I saw that debate with Destin and Jeffy, and I'm with Jeffy on it. I'm with Jeffy on this one. Did anyone else see that debate between David Jeffy and Destin? No, I think this time he had a good take, and I think Destin was just not understanding what he was saying. So the TLDR essentially is that Jeffy believes that the decision to make something offline from a live set from a multiplayer game and then have that baked in removes from the creative decisions that studios will have for other things, and it can impact whether it's a boss, a level, or something else. See, I think this. See, there's a lot of nuanced stuff with that. Stop killing games. It tries to be like a blunt force decision thing where it believes like there's only one path and one path only, whereas there's a lot, you know, different now. I don't know. The reason why it's topic now, Steve, is because it's getting more traction and the EU is starting to listen more. But yeah, I don't think Steam should remove the titles. I think Steam caving is just wrong. Regardless of the games, the styles, or whatever, no one should be placed in that position where they can't spend what they want to spend on. You know? Alright, on to some gaming news. We touched on this earlier, but Wu Chang has 2 days to go and preload is now available. It doesn't really tell you how big it is, but this game will work on a 2060 graphics card with frame gen. So make sure you got frame gen enabled. I think that was a mistake, but whatevs. I'm actually looking forward to this, even though I am quite sick and tired of Souls-like games. I think they just need to chill now. But I'm quite excited for this one. Hey, Frost, how's it going? Is anyone excited for this game? Tarnish, they're actually removing the whole games entirely. You can't buy it. It's not a case of changing your payment option. It's permanently delisted. It's gone. There's no coming back from it. Never heard of it, Chili? It is a very, very nice looking game. It is a Souls-like game, so you'll be pulling your hair out. But it's going to be interesting to see how well it actually does. It is in Game Pass, I think. Yes, it is in Game Pass. It's Game Pass day one. Ugh. Well, the problem with that, Bold Alpha Wolf, is that there's too many games to play. Like right now, I'm enjoying Death Stranding 2, and I'm having a really good time in there. But I've still got Obscure 33, I've got Metaphor, I've got Persona 3 Reloaded I want to play, and there's so many more games. Outlast Trials I bought so I can play with Steve later at some point. There's so many games. I mean, I know people cry about, oh, this is skipping here and that's skipping there. Who cares? At this point, I am so I'm drowning in video games. So by the time I actually get through the games I actually do want to play, my dude. Still moving out and Outlast. Ella, I saw your message the other day. And I'll catch up with you later. I wasn't ignoring you deliberately. There was just family drama that pissed me the fuck off, so I just kind of stayed away from everything. Why skip Persona? Persona's a good game. You still haven't finished Indie. Frost, don't do this to me. It was my game of the year. But you know what else I need to play? I need to play the DLC on Alan Wake. As someone who is a massive Alan Wake fan, I feel so ashamed of myself for not having played the DLC. And chat, you should be ashamed of me too. What a wuss. So there's it. So tell us, Death Stranding is a really weird game. You know, in some ways I don't even classify it as a game. I classify it more as an experience. But there are certain things it does that is so brilliant that it's hard to pencil into words of just how awesome it actually is. But then it does other stuff like say, hey, you go to a dude and you know, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse on screen, but there's like a building all the way over here, right, in this far corner here. And you go to him and you go, hey man, here's my delivery. I hope you like it. And he goes, oh man, thanks. Thanks for putting us on the grid too. Here's a new reward for you. By the way, if you got time, I've got a mission for you. So if you can help, let us know. And so you go and speak to him, right? And he goes, right, so I kind of lost the package and I really would like you to get it. And you're like, okay, well, it's probably going to be somewhere around here, right? Somewhere local. Because it couldn't have gone far, considering they don't leave the building. And he's like, no, see, can you see in the bottom left-hand corner, what, like all the way down here? And he goes, no, go a little bit further. We don't want to really see it. And so you say, all right. And he goes, well, you see, I dropped my painting is over there, and can you go get it? And you ask yourself, how the fuck did you lose your painting from over here to over there? In what world did you think that is going to happen? He's like, yeah, but I kind of really am attached to that painting or that lunchbox or, you know, that pizza delivery that went wrong. So some of the stuff in there is just completely and utterly padded bollocks. But you kind of feel obligated to do it because it gives you some benefits in terms of leveling up those factions. And in return, you get some really cool stuff. That side is boring to me and I don't like it at all. The story is really good, but the one aspect of Death Stranding 2 that I really, really liked a lot is the world building. And I don't know if any of you know how that works, but the world building in Death Stranding 2 is really fucking cool. So you could be looking around in the area and see like a bridge, right? You'll see a river and you don't want to cross it because it's going to damage your cargo. But if I was there earlier before you actually got to that point in the game, I would have probably put down a bridge so I can cross over without, you know, me taking any damage. But that bridge stays permanently there. Now, if you get to that same location while you're connected to the Death Stranding 2 servers, you in your single player experience game see my bridge and can use it to cross over safely. So at the moment in Death Stranding 2, you're seeing people like rebuilding the road structure so it doesn't take as much battery. And people are just donating to these structures so it can go around and fix America. And I think that aspect of the game is so fundamentally brilliant. How what I'm doing in my single player experience for the game has a huge impact on how you're storing. You know, it's just weird, and I really like it. Was it supposed to hit my PlayStation? That's a bit weird. But yeah, it's Death Stranding 2 is just a weird game. I can't really categorize it into one genre because it kind of pulls from all sorts. And I just think it's a really good game. Is it Game of the Year material? I think not. Does that kind of answer your question? All right, so we have a couple more topics before I call it a day. EA app reveals Battlefield 6 beta could start as early as August the 4th. Who's excited for Battlefield 6? So yeah, I'm really excited for this. I've always been a more Battlefield fan over Call of Duty, and so this to me is definitely on my cards. I mean, does it I guess we have to download the app to register for a thing. I forgot my username and password, so I can't check right now. But if there's just a thing in the app to say, hey, in order to gain access, just register here, that would be kind of cool. But overall, I'm super excited for this. Nah, these games can't be $80, man. They'd be dead on arrival. $100 million players. I don't know. I haven't really read the article. The API in the EA app has revealed that the Battlefield starts over the 4th. Spotted several people in the Battle community. EA 4th. While no confirmed release date, publication build means that it will be blah blah blah. The guy literally no, whatever. Sources indicate we received a promotional cases for Battlefield 6 are aware of the beta's release date, which suggests the beta will likely be available at the beginning of August. Battlefield 6 is expected to launch later in this year on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and the PC. Not so much Superman, but how did I mean, last I saw, the box office earnings was at 409 million. What did you all think of the Superman movie? Stream Elements is kicking our butts? Why is Stream Elements kicking our butts? Reveal this tomorrow? Okay. The new Superman movie rocked in my opinion. I loved Lex and Crypto. Crypto was the only thing that actually made that film good, in my opinion. Without Crypto, that film would have been dry. Like really, really, really dry. I think Crypto was what made the film. I'm not gonna go into any spoilers, so those of you that haven't watched it, don't worry. I'm not gonna go into that. We need more Western movies. I mean, everything is Marvel and DC now, right? It's really rare that we get like a good movie. But, you know, I liked Superman the movie, but in retrospect, I probably liked it for the wrong reason. But looking at Lex was really fucking cool. Lex was really good. But felt way too rushed. You liked it because for you it was like if Smallville became a movie. I get that. James Gunn should have stayed with the MC. James Gunn should just quit. I mean, the film made 410 million. I think it cost 320 million to make, or 360 million. So you know, it's doing quite well. What's going on with the Fantastic Four? Nothing really. It comes out next week. I'm hyped for Fantastic Four 2. I might go see it this weekend. But he's trying to recreate what he did in the MCU to the DCU, and I don't think it will have. I mean, the fact that he's not even bringing Batman into it. I mean, Batman is the DC, right? You can't have DC without Batman, and he's openly said that he's not going to bring Batman in. So it's already lost points for me. Okay, so this is the last piece of story that I have for today, and it's a bit weird, right? Because the level of bullshit coming from Camp Sony is astronomical. But this dude over here, whose name is Nate Fox, right? And he said, let's face it, this controller is magnificent. Ghost of Yotei is built from the ground up to use the PlayStation 5. To have those lightning fast loads, to be able to, so you know, the mystical SSD, to use the dual sense controller for its maximum effect. And it's just like, we could not have made this game without the PS5's features. And then 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, it's going to be on PC. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, but it's just like, we couldn't have made this game without the PS5's features. And then 10 minutes later, it's announced for PC. And it's like, why do you guys just have to lie about everything? Right? Ratchet and Clank can't be done on anything outside of the PS5's mystical SSD. And then a mechanical hard drive runs it perfectly fine. Well, not perfectly fine. There's some stuttering going on in the loading screens, but once you get past the loading screens and you get to the main game, it's fine. And then when I try to dispute this by saying, sorry man, these claims are laughable, when 10 minutes later they release it on PC, some guy literally took it as serious when I said, I mean, just look at these people. Since when does 4 years equate to 10 minutes? Really? You can get 14k RPM HDDs. I think that's the one that Digital Foundry tested on. I don't know. But so many people in here were defending. I don't know. I played Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Clank. On my ROG Ally from an external SSD, it played fine. I know, but it's just like, you've got these statements and they do it all the time, right? They do it all the time. We could not have made this game without the PS5 features. So it's like, do you know what I mean? So to me, it's like, it's such bullshit. I get they want to glaze over Sony and the hardware and start talking about, you know, the actual drop rates being horrendous. Mate, you don't have to buy it. You can use DualShocks on PC too. You can, but you can also play the game fully optimized on Xbox as well with an Xbox controller. I mean, not Xbox, but, you know, using an Xbox controller on PC. I don't know. This one just triggered me the wrong way because it was full of rubbish. I will say at some point they will have to make SSD as a standard only for PC. I mean, I'm surprised at this point anyone would use a mechanical drive outside of storage. For storage, mechanical drives are still the best. They last the longest. Nobody mentioned DirectX. Everything, loads of games use DirectX. I don't know. I mean, no one uses a regular HDD for everyday gaming. It's pretty much for storage. I'm guessing England just scored. No rest for the wicked, says thing. Well, they're skipping the launch. So basically, the developer Moon Studios turned around and said, in a roundabout way, Microsoft, we kind of want you to give us an Xbox Game Pass bag, and if you do, we'll port the game over. And it's just, no. And I really hope Microsoft doesn't cave in. Because if they do, more and more companies are going to ask for it. But folks, that is all I have for today, and I'm getting quite tired as well, as you've probably imagined. Well, not imagined, as you've probably seen. But is there any other news story that you would like to touch on? Probably going to skip the video reacts for today. But is there any other news story that you want to touch on that we could talk about before I call it a day? I doubt Microsoft gives a fuck about the Xbox support. Well, they don't really like. They kind of broke up with Moon Studios in a bad way, because they had people working with Moon Studios. They actually had a support team stationed at Moon Studios, but the actual team and management at Moon Studios treated the Microsoft employees, Xbox employees, like absolute garbage. And so they actually filed complaints against the way they were being treated with Microsoft against Moon Studios. And really it escalated from then. We've covered Stop Killing Games briefly. And we've spoken about No Rest for the Wicked quite early on. Yeah, Baldur for Wolf. The actual team over at Moon Studios treated them so badly that the staff actually came out publicly and, said how bad their treatment was over at Moon Studios, and how they were being undermined, looked down upon, treated really badly, being excluded from the team, just working in complete isolation. It was a completely and utterly toxic working environment, as they described it at the time. And so Microsoft just pulled the plug and said, right, team, come back. And since then, Thomas has been butthurt about that. Well, you kind of reap what you sow, right? You kind of reap what you sow. And so once Microsoft pulled that team away, well, they got butthurt about it. Well, what the fuck do you expect was going to happen? If you're going to treat our staff like shit, don't expect, don't expect us to send you more support when you're asking for it. So, it kind of makes sense why they kind of, hold a grudge right now towards Microsoft. Because Microsoft basically pulled their support from them. But at the same time, you can't, like you said, it's karma. You can't go around doing that and expect people to say, yeah, this is great, this is all that's going to be perfect. No, it doesn't work like that. There are consequences for your actions. He is an arrogant prick. He actually turned around, right? Someone said, there was an Xbox fan that said, if you're not releasing it day and day on my platform, I'm not buying your game. And so, the guy then turned around and said, how entitled are you? This is Thomas telling one of his prospective customers, how entitled are you? Thank you for the super sticker, Devin. I appreciate it. And the guy goes, I'm not being entitled at all. You're selling a product. You're not giving it to me day and date when I want it. So instead, you're the one that's actually being negative and toxic about the numbers. I don't know. The guy is just a fucking idiot. But to turn around and start calling gamers entitled is that's a new one on me. Yeah. All of these count towards your points. A super sticker still you spending. What was Moose Studios doing? Ori. They're the developers of Ori, which fundamentally is a good game. I don't know. Do gift memberships count as well then? They should do, yeah. Everything, anything that's monetized will count. I'm just having a quick scan to see if there's anything I missed. There's lots of doom and gloom with Fable because people are running with that idea. So apparently, according to Boom,
I'm gonna reveal something that I have never revealed so far. This is a bit of a here's some tea. So you remember that game that came out last year that literally nobody bought, even on Nintendo, called Lego Horizon? Remember that game? Well, I wanted that game. I was gonna buy it on Switch. I never did, which now I'm gonna go look for because it's probably super cheap. But I can tell you for an absolute fact, without giving up my source, that the Xbox version is 1,000% done. It was made for the Xbox One, and it is literally sitting on a digital shelf right now. That's right, you heard it here. Again, not breaking news. So a couple people will know this. I'm, again, not giving up my source. Lego Horizon for the Xbox is done. It's literally waiting to be announced and sent to Xbox's website.
The whole slate, baby! The whole slate! Don't worry, Ben.
Why they haven't released it yet, I have absolutely no idea. We know Herman Holtz is absolutely in love with that game. And you're right. He thinks Horizon coming over makes sense.
At the end of the day, there's no... I mean, I think it probably does exist. Just like Hellblade was pretty much, done when in the background while they were working thing. When Risk It and said that the PlayStation version was done. I believed him. So stuff like this, I do believe is a thing, and I do believe him in this one. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Lego, right? I think it was just a timed exclusive, and that one will appear on Xbox. But it's interesting they're choosing a dead game entirely to kind of lock you in. Does anyone want that shit? Steve wants it. He's been asking for it for a while. I mean, Bold Alpha, at the end of the day, if Helldivers 2 sells really well, you bet this was your notification. But if Helldivers 2 sells really well, I think that's it. You know, the Helldivers is their 4 games. If Helldivers 2 sells well, expect the what's the start flowing quickly. Starting with, you know, I still think Days Gone is going to be one of the first walking sims to make it over. Alright, folks. I think I'm going to call it there because I am getting really tired. I've had a long week already and I'm just shattered. I need to get some shut-eye and I need to rest. But I really do appreciate everyone hanging out tonight. I appreciate all the, you know, the memberships, the super stickers. Thank you so much. And I will catch up with you guys either in the next video. Tomorrow I'm going to be over at Twitch streaming. Or I'm going to be, on Thursday, we'll be back with another stream. But yeah, I'm just feeding myself. I'm kind of dozing, so I don't want to give you guys a bad experience with that or actually pass out and, you know, you guys hear me snoring away. So with that said, I'm out. Have a good one. Thank you so much for hanging out. Peace, and I'll see you next time. Spider-Man is going to be on Xbox. You've heard it here. It's not code. It's coming. I'm out. Remain legend. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me. I really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps. Otherwise, have a good night.